Will's Fifth Quarter Special fans, it's Will Farrell here with you once again, the host and creator of the show that you love and enjoy. As when the fourth quarter buzzer sounds, you turn to us for your fifth quarter sports talk. Nice to be here with each and every one of you once again, and it's now that time where breaking news comes when you least expect it. So here I am with each and every one of you, Will's Fifth Quarter Special fans, current, past, and upcoming. We love to bring in more sports fans to the show. The Chicago Bulls made another move. Arturas Karnisovas and the rest of this Bulls front office we saw go through its first season on the right foot last year, making shocking trades at the trade deadline. Really good draft pick by their first time as a front office last year in Patrick Williams. This past draft, they got Ayo Dosunmu, Illinois native, played in Morgan Park, and former U of I Fighting Illini guard. Real good move. So far, they've done Lonzo Ball in a sign and trade. They've traded in a sign and deal for DeMar DeRozan. They've brought in Alex Caruso. And they've brought in Tony Bradley to help back up Vucevic. Marko Simonovic coming from overseas. He was a draft and stash player they picked in that same Patrick Williams draft. And Arturas and the front office strike again, bringing excitement to a historic franchise in the Chicago Bulls since the days of Michael Jordan and before that. A very storied history with the Bulls, and he is bringing to Chicago what Bulls fans have hoped for many, many years, since the days of contention. Another trade has come. It's a 3-team deal, including the Chicago Bulls, the Portland Trail Blazers, and a team no one expected, a division rival, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm going to be reading this report officially from courtesy of BleacherReport.com, and it is reporting, according to Casey Johnson. Give me 1 second to get it back up, guys. Hang on, just lost it there for a minute. But yeah, according to Casey Johnson, the Chicago Bulls will be receiving Derrick Jones Jr., talented young player, another dunk champion. So you'd add that with Levine and some of the other Bulls players that are. It's a young team, and this is a really good player. I'm going to get into each of that in a minute. So he's coming to the Bulls from Portland, a protected 2022 first-round pick, and a Denver protected 2023 second-rounder from Cleveland. The Trailblazers will be receiving from the Cavaliers Larry Nance Jr. Now, everyone's probably wondering, what's the big player going to Cleveland if we're getting that type of return? Lauri Markkanen, who was drafted with the Chicago Bulls in that Jimmy Butler trade that brought star Zach LaVine to the Chicago Bulls. Chris Dunn, who is no longer with the Bulls organization. And now, it looks like that big deal that started that Bulls rebuild just a few years ago, Zach LaVine's the only one left of those three players. This is Lauri Markkanen in a sign-and-trade deal, and the contract he's receiving in Cleveland now with his new team in this sign-and-trade is officially 4 years, $67 million, sending him to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, a shocking trade. Now, a lot of us Bulls fans have been hearing Lauri's displeasure with the organization. He's been wanting to leave the Chicago Bulls. So, it's just been a matter of time as to when it could happen. And I think that it's just, like I said, a matter of time. I think that, if I'm being completely honest here, guys, that it's a good move for Chicago. Now, did I like Lauri's upside with this team long term? Yes, but things change every year in the NBA. You have a man in Patrick Williams that's young and talented that could play the power forward position very well, as we saw in his college career at Florida State. Played a little bit of it last year and the 3 spot for the Bulls. So Billy Donovan could see what he's working with in the rookie. But I think Patrick Williams slides better at power forward now. If you look at the lineup, alongside Vucevic in that front court in the starting lineup, I think he's going to really flourish at the power forward position for the Chicago Bulls in a starting role. And then you'll have Simonovic in the rotation as well to replace Thaddeus Young, who was in that sign and trade. Tony Bradley's going to be part of that front court now. And you're looking at this Bulls roster, a starting five that last year featured Kobe White, who I think is still a big part of this team, but you committed some money to Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. So you're already showing fans we're in this. We're trying to get to the playoffs once again. It's been a long time since Bulls have been in the playoffs, guys. So I think, like I said, it's been a matter of time for this to happen. I think it's a great thing for the Chicago Bulls. I like Derrick Jones Jr. a lot. I mean, seeing what he was able to do in Miami, as a lot of sports fans saw, and fans of the NBA, the kid can really play basketball well. I like his versatility in a lineup and in game situations. Really good defense. Very good shooter in the post. Just gets the job done. And you're adding that to a Bulls team that has, as I mentioned, Patrick Williams moving over to the 4 spot. He can learn from DeMar DeRozan. You got Troy Brown Jr., who you could play with in the lineup as well in that second unit. He's in his early 20s as well. And I mentioned Derrick Jones Jr. is 24 years old. You're putting him with Kobe White, Ayo, and Zach LaVine, and Caruso, and Lonzo. This is a young, talented Bulls team, folks. This is a really good team. The way they're putting this lineup together. I give a lot of credit to Arturis and the Bulls front office for shaping this in a way that works better for the team that moving forward. I think Derrick Jones is a really good piece. The draft picks I like is a key part as well because we saw the trade that acquired Nikola Vucevic last year. We saw the sign-in trades for Lonzo and DeMar. We gave up some draft picks in those trades. So even if you are contending, you still want to be able to bring in young talent to continue your team on the right track, as we've seen many successful NBA programs being able to do so. So I think that is a key piece for me with the Bulls as well in this trade. I like the draft picks they're acquiring now. It is going to be a protected pick, so you might get it maybe late lottery at most. We don't know those details yet of the protected pick. I'm going to take a look here, see if I can find anything. Not seeing any new updates about that yet, but I'm going to get into the other parts. So Larry Nance Jr. was a player that came to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a trade that brought Jordan Clarkson over there a long time ago. You guys probably remember that deal. So I think that's what is being known now as an underrated piece for a Portland team that, to me, has one of my favorite point guards to watch in the league. And Damian Lillard. Everyone talks about Stephen Curry and all these other star point guards, Chris Paul, Doncic, all these great players. I think Damian Lillard is a special player at the point guard position. I am a Bulls fan, just like each and every one of you, but that's the beauty of the sport. You could still cheer for certain players even though you're not a fan of that team. I think that's the beauty of sports, whether it be baseball, football, or basketball. But I think Portland just got a really good piece in Larry Nance Jr. Because they have Nasir Little in their small forward rotation, so he can move up and hopefully bring something for them. Cleveland getting Lauri Markkanen, though. So I'm going to look at some stats with each and every one. This is some stats I found on Basketball Reference. Lauri, in his career with the Chicago Bulls, averaged 29 minutes a game. He played 221 games in his short NBA career with the Chicago Bulls. And he averaged 15.6 points per game. His field goal percentage was an average of 44. 3-point percentage, 36.6. Average 0.5 blocks and 7.1 rebounds. So he was an average player. Now, he didn't do too well under Fred Hoiberg. Wasn't used rightly in the system. They tried to orchestrate him in the system better with Jim Boylan. That obviously didn't work. He had one good year with Jim Boylan, and then he kind of just went down the tubes. But looked a lot better with Billy Donovan at first. But you could tell he was very irritated with when he was benched after the Vucevic trade. He just wasn't getting it done. So they thought, Thad Young's getting it done off the bench. We'll play him. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes in the second half last year. Lauri might not be getting it done, yeah, but you could have tried, I think, Patrick Williams better at the power forward position. Slide Troy Brown at small forward at the time before, we acquired DeRozan and these other moves that have been made this offseason. I think that's really was the nail in the coffin, as they would say, figuratively speaking, why Lauri Markkanen wanted to leave Chicago. I think that's just what it was. He felt disrespected, and he wanted to go somewhere where he could be more respected as a professional and play in a system that fits his style. And I think Cleveland could do just that. I think Jared Allen's a good young talent that Cleveland acquired in the past few years, so I think Lauri's going to slide in over there. This could signal a trade of Kevin Love, I do think, on Cleveland's end would be the smartest choice because they are committing $67 million for Lauri Markkanen, and Kevin Love's finishing up a $100 million contract. So Lauri Markkanen is not going to want to sit on the bench. So I think a Kevin Love trade will be coming shortly in this offseason following this move if Cleveland does smart. So this is a good trade for Chicago. I'm going to go right back to the Derrick Jones Jr. statistics. And this is a great time. I'm seeing a few viewers pop in, so give us your thoughts on the trade. As usual, Will Smith Core Special Pans, the video will be posted onto our YouTube channel. It'll be available on the Facebook profile as always. So feel free to comment on that as well moving forward. So Derrick Jones Jr. started with the Phoenix Suns, played 38 games. As I mentioned, he's more prominent as a player for the Miami Heat. That's where he really came into his own. And just looking at the stats, that started right in the 2018 season. Played 60 games, averaged 19 minutes a game, and averaged 7 points and 4 rebounds. But his 3-point percentage and field goal were very solid, which is what I think stood out to a lot of fans as well. 49.4 field goal percentage, 30.8 3-point percentage. So he goes to Portland after the Heat losing the finals in 2019. Portland's giving him a 2-year, $18.9 million deal. So he's coming to Chicago, 1 year left in his contract. That gives the Bulls the option of seeing what they have with him, how he can fit into the rotation, and if he fits, I say extend him a year or two, keep him next year, because you want to build the right core with a winning culture and with the talent you're accumulating. You're getting different players that have talent and can mold better together. You got a point guard in Lonzo Ball that's a really good passer. Helps your issues on defense in the starting five. Patrick Williams does that. So now you have a lineup, and DeMar's pretty good at defense too. Vucevic isn't bad, but the Bulls have always had the issues the past few years with defense. And I think these players I like a lot so far this offseason are coming into Chicago, being able to do both. A little bit of both. And I think that's going to mold really well in this Bulls culture. Now, they're still going to have to, the coaching staff's going to have to do their due diligence to make sure the players are fitting well and everything. But I think this is a really good move for Chicago. You don't want to have Lauri Markkanen in that lineup and the locker room if he's going to come into the season like how he was recently. Displeasure, because that could ruin the culture you're trying to build within those players. With your new players seeing it, with their new organization, they wouldn't like that. You don't need that cancer in the locker room. So I think they did this trade at the right time. It gives you a lot of time before, preseason and everything else right now. The Bulls do still have some space available for free agents. And I think what I would do if I were them, go look at some undrafted guys maybe that you have in your training camp roster, guys that are getting the job done. Guys you think, in the role we saw Arcidiacono in. Maybe find a veteran that can help with that. I think there's still some pretty good free agents available. The wing player, though, is another key thing about Derrick Jones Jr., which I think helps the Bulls because historically they've had issues with finding like a 3-and-D wing player. That's why we saw Otto Porter Jr. coming to Chicago a few years ago on the trade that sent Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker to the Wizards. We're not over there, but that's neither here nor there. I think this is a great trade, like I said, for the Bulls. Look forward to hearing what you guys think. So I'm going to announce it right here. There are things in progress for upcoming episodes coming up soon. Been going through some job stuff the past few weeks and months, so that's why you haven't seen many episodes, but I'm still churning out content for you guys because that's what I do with this show. It's going to stop, never going to stop. So that's why you've kind of seen more video and written stuff. So there's going to be episodes coming. I'm working on it, just going through some stuff like everybody is in this pandemic. So the fan base is important to this show. So stay with us as you have, and we're going to keep growing the fan base. This show's going to be around for a long time. We hope you guys are too. So probably going to try and get a blog post up later on this move, and kind of how it helps the Bulls maybe. And there's going to be some announcements coming up as well, so check out our social media. And when you guys see me share something that happens that's maybe not an episode or written or audio, it's me sharing content with you guys to get a conversation going. So if you see me share a post about the Cubs, White Sox, or any sports team we cover or news, feel free to comment on it. Tell us what you think about the move. There's some blog posts out that are pretty well put about certain things going on right now. There's going to be some more Cubs content coming up, playoffs for the MLB, Chicago Bears getting started, so we're going to have some stuff coming up about that. Redbird Athletics, usual. There's going to be a lot of content coming, guys. We're working on a lot of great things coming out for you guys, and that's the beauty of this podcast. There's a lot of different mediums for each and every one of you to enjoy. So if there's not an episode coming out yet, we're having blog posts coming out. If we're not able to do that, there's visual stuff like I am with you right now coming out. So stay with us. Please don't leave the show. We love our fans here, and this show's for you guys. It's for everyone else, not just for me to do, even though I love doing it. So stay with us through it each and every day. The show's going to keep growing and get even better and better. And appreciate you guys tuning in to this Facebook live stream emergency, talking about the Chicago Bulls trading Lauri Markkanen once again. Lauri Markkanen traded in a sign-and trade to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Bulls acquiring Derrick Jones Jr., a 2022 protected first-round pick from the Portland Trail Blazers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers sending over a 2023 second-round pick to the Chicago Bulls. And the Cleveland Cavaliers sending power forward Larry Nance Jr. to the Portland Trail Blazers. When the fourth quarter buzzer sounds, turn to us for your fifth quarter sports talk. I'm your host, Will Farrell, saying so long from this Facebook live stream. See you guys very soon. This was another edition of Will's Fifth Quarter Special. Take care, guys.